Okay, so long division of polynomials. First one we're going to start with is x minus 2 into x cubed plus 5x squared minus 7x plus 2. Should get better. Okay, so first thing you're going to look at is, you don't need to write this part down, but I want to show you, do you remember at all, hopefully you remember a little bit, how to do long division, okay? If I just did 3 into, let's say, 511, okay? Let's think about this. When you look at this, you're just looking at the first number and the first number, okay? We're really not concerned with 3 into the end numbers, okay? You're just looking at the first number. Same thing I want you to do here, okay? I just want you to look at the x and the x to the third. And think about, what would you have to multiply by to get from x to x to the third? What would you multiply by? What would you multiply by to get from x to x to the third? X squared. So x squared is what you put up here. So our first step in division of long division of polynomials, your first step is multiply. Okay, we're going to have 3 steps, and we're going to continue to repeat these for every term. So, multiply. So, I actually want you to multiply. X squared times x gives you x cubed. Then, x squared times negative 2 gives you minus 2x squared. Now, if I went back to my just normal number long division here, you'd first figure out how many times does 3 go into 5, that'd be 1. Then you multiply. What do you do after you multiply? Subtract, right? But it doesn't have a subtract sign, does it? In your head, when they taught you how to do long division, they skipped a step, honestly, okay? They never told you to change the sign and make it a subtraction, okay? You know in your head that you have to subtract, so you know that you really do minus, and then you subtract. We never told you that, though. We never told you to change the sign. Now that you're into polynomials, you do need to change the signs. Okay, so we actually need to subtract or distribute a negative 1 into all these terms. So I want you to change the signs. So that becomes negative, this becomes positive. So your first step is multiply. Second step is subtract.
Change the sign when we subtract.
So we change the signs so that we can subtract. Okay?
Oh, yeah.
So x cubed minus x cubed, these go away. If your first term does not go away, you messed up, okay? We changed this sign. It was negative, so it becomes positive. You change all of the signs. Then 5x squared plus 2x squared gives you what? 7x squared. We changed the sign, so now you're adding. Next, if I went back to my other equation, my old school one, what do you do next after you subtract? Bring something down. Okay, so this is our next step. Step 3 is to bring down. Okay, so same thing here. We're going to bring down this negative 7x, and then we're just going to repeat these same 3 steps over and over and over. Okay, so how would you get from x to 7x squared? What would you multiply by? What would you multiply by to get from x to 7x squared? 7 and an x. Do I just multiply by just 7x? What's wrong with writing this like that? You have to put in the sign. Okay, so you do have to put in a plus there. So now I actually want you to multiply. So 7x times x gives you what? 7x squared. 7x times 2 gives you minus 14x. Now we need to subtract. Now, these, you have to change the sign. So, make this a negative, this one becomes positive. Okay, so whatever sign it is, you have to change it to the opposite sign. Then you actually do the subtraction. The first thing cancels. If it doesn't, you messed up. So, negative 7, positive 14 gives you a positive 7x. Bring this down, so plus 2. Again, how would you get from x to 7x? What would you multiply by? A plus 7. Multiply, so 7 times x gives you 7x. 7 times negative 2 is negative 14. Now, this is where the largest amount of mistakes come. People forget to change the signs on the last step, okay? If you don't change the signs, it's going to be wrong. So, change this one. I would use a different color so that you remember that you've changed them, okay? These cancel. 2 and 14 gives you what? Plus 16. What did we used to do when we ran out of things? If it didn't go into evenly, what did we do? We used to add zeros and decimals. You do not do that for polynomials, okay? All you have to do for polynomials now is take your remainder, and we're going to write this as plus, and I want you to write it as a remainder. So plus 16 over x minus 2. Sorry, I'm kind of running out of room there. So plus 16 over x minus 2. That is your answer. So this is not necessarily a difficult concept. It's just different. Okay? That is your answer. Questions so far? We're going to do 4 of these, so hopefully you'll get the gist of it. Yes, ma'am?
How did you get to 2x squared?
How did I get to 2x squared?
Yeah.
Right here?
Yeah.
Because x squared times negative 2, x squared times 2 is 2x squared. Okay, let's try another one for number 2. Okay, again, I would like you to divide x plus 2 into x plus 2 into x cubed minus x squared plus 4x minus 10. Divide x plus 2 into x cubed minus x squared plus 4x minus 10. This better be done on Monday. So let's figure out, how would you get from x to x cubed? What would you multiply by? To get from x to x cubed, you'd multiply by x squared. So actually do the multiplication. X squared times x gives you x cubed. X squared times positive 2 gives you plus 2x squared. Change your signs. So negative, this one will change to negative. It's possible to go either way. You could go positive to negative or negative to positive. These go away. Negative x squared and negative 2x squared gives you what? Negative 3x squared. Bring down your next term, so plus 4x. What would you multiply by to get from x to negative 3x squared? How do you get from x to negative 3x squared? What would you multiply by? Negative 3x. Negative 3x times x gives you negative 3x squared. Negative 3x times 2 gives you minus 6x. Change the signs. So positive, positive. Actually do the addition or subtraction. These go away. If they don't go away, you messed up somewhere. 4x plus 6x gives you 10x. Bring down your next term, so minus 10. Then what would you multiply by to get from x to 10x? Positive 10, so make sure you put in the plus sign. Then do your multiplication, so x times 10 gives you 10x. 10 times 2 gives you plus 20. Again, make sure you change your signs in this last one, otherwise it's going to mess you up. So negative, negative. First part cancels. Negative 10 and negative 20 gives you negative 30. Now, when you write this remainder, you do need to write it, I'd like you to write it as plus, and I just want you to put the negative on the top. Okay, I do not want the negative on the side. I just want the negative on the top, and I'll show you why here in just a second. So that's your actual answer that I'm looking for. Okay, the reason I'd like you to write the negative on the top is because, unfortunately, a lot of people write it like this. There's 3 different ways that this could be written, and I'm going to show you why 2 of them are incorrect. Okay, this is how I'd like you to write this. If you write it just on the side, a lot of times it kind of looks like it blends in with that division bar, and I can't tell that it's there, so that would just be wrong. So I would prefer that you not write it this way. This way, this is actually wrong, because this negative doesn't belong to just the x. It belongs to this whole problem, okay? So this looks as if you distributed it incorrectly. So please write your remainders with the negative on the top, okay? Otherwise, it's not going to be mathematically correct. Questions so far? Okay, 2 more for you. Okay, number 3. For example number 3, I would like you to divide 8x cubed minus 4x squared plus 2x minus 7 divided by 2x squared plus 4x minus 5. Divide 8x cubed minus 4x squared plus 2x minus 7 divided by 2x squared plus 4x minus 5. What's wrong about the way this is written currently? We just need to change it, right? So this is written as a fraction. How would I change it into a long division problem? Which part goes on the inside of the bar? The top or the bottom? The top. It's kind of like you just knock over a tower. Okay, so the top goes inside. So you're going to put 8x cubed minus 4x squared plus 2x minus 7 inside the long division bar. On the outside is 2x squared plus 4x minus 5. Then you can actually do your division. So what would you multiply by to get from 2x squared to 8x cubed? 4 and an x. Do your multiplication. So 4x times 2x squared is 8x cubed. 4x times positive 4x is plus 16x squared. And 4x times negative 5 is minus 20x. Change your signs. So negative, negative, positive. First thing cancels, and that's supposed to. What happens when you combine these like terms? Negative 20x squared plus 22x. Bring down the negative 7. Then what would you multiply by to get from 2x squared to negative 20x squared? Minus 10. Okay, multiply negative 10 times 2x squared, and we get negative 20x squared. Negative 10 times positive 4 is minus 40x. Negative 10 times negative 5 is plus 50. Again, don't forget to distribute those negatives or change the signs for all of these on the last part. That's why I'd use a different color. First things cancel out. 22 plus 40x gives you 62x. Negative 7 minus 50 is minus 57. Now, can I go any farther? Do you know what 2x squared times what gives you 62x? No, so you're done. This is your remainder. So you write plus 62x minus 57 over this whole thing. So 2x squared plus 4x minus 5. That's the answer that I'm looking for. Okay, one more for you and then we'll be done. Any questions so far on how we did these? Now, this last one I'm going to show you is a little bit different, okay, because you are going to have to add something in here. Okay, last one for number 4. If I want you to divide x cubed minus 5x squared minus 2, you're good, divided by x minus 4. X cubed minus 5x squared minus 2 divided by x minus 4. The thing that's different here is if you look at all the other examples, what do you notice about their exponents? What do you notice in particular about this one, about the exponents? What are you noticing here? They're going in what kind of order? Descending order. They're decreasing. So we have a to the third power, to the second power, to the first power, no exponent. Same thing here. To the second power, to the first power, no exponent. If you'll notice on the next one, what's missing? Is there something missing? What's missing? The x by itself in the top, right? If you don't realize that there's something missing, your whole division problem is going to be messed up. It's not going to come out nicely. So basically when you rewrite this, when this goes on the inside, this is going to be x cubed minus 5x squared. If you're missing something, you have to add it in. What could I add to this equation without changing it, basically? Can you add to anything without changing the value? Can I just add 1 arbitrarily? Plus 0. So plus 0x. I'm going to put in 0 x's and then minus 2. If you don't put in that 0x, things will not line up nicely, and it just makes it way more difficult than it needs to be. Okay? It can also happen in the denominator. Here, these are in descending order, but if there was a gap, if there was something missing, you should also look to try to put in the missing link there. Then we can do our regular division problem. So how many times does x go into x cubed? What would you multiply by to get from x to the third? Anyone? What do you multiply by to get from x to the third? X squared. Okay, x squared times x gives you x cubed. X squared times negative 4 gives you minus 4x squared. Change your signs. So negative, positive. You add things together, these go away. Negative 5x squared plus 4x squared gives me what? Negative 1x squared. If you don't write the 1, that's fine. Bring this down. Even though it's a 0, you still have to bring it down. How would you get from x to negative 1x squared? What would you multiply by? Negative 1x. Again, if you don't write the 1, that's fine, but it's a little bit helpful if you do. Negative 1 times x squared gives you negative 1x squared. Negative 1x times negative 4 gives you plus 4x. Change your signs, so positive, negative. Now, these go away. If you hadn't put in this 0x, things wouldn't line up nicely, and it just makes it way more confusing. So just make sure that you put in the zeros just in case, okay? Then 0 minus 4 gives you negative 4x. Bring down the negative 2. How do you get from x to negative 4x? Negative 4. Multiply. So negative 4x. Negative 4 times negative 4 is positive 16. Change your signs again. Don't forget to change the signs on the last portion. These go away. Negative 2 and negative 16 gives you what? Negative 18, and that's your remainder. So I want you to write it as plus negative 18 over x minus 4. That's the answer that we're looking for. Do you have any questions that you need to see worked out, or any questions on concept type deal?